Guys, welcome to a classic movie review of 1987's Dirty Dancing, starring Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. Directed by Emile Ardolino, this is a classic coming-of-age story set in the summer of 1963 at a family holiday resort, and the story centres on Frances Baby Houseman, who's a sheltered upper-middle-class teenager who's just arrived with her family for vacation and whose world's about to be rocked by a succession of steamy dance routines, evocative music, and all manner of very not family friendly gyrations courtesy of Patrick Swayze's Hunky Dancer. Now, Dirty Dancing falls just outside of the 10 biggest hits of 1987, but of course has gone on to become one of the most famous hits of that decade, or any decade, and a true cultural phenomenon. So let's take a look. So back in the last throes of the 1980s, or very early 90s, yeah, I'm old. This was one of my most watched movies on VHS. Don't laugh, but I had cousins who were girls who would watch this endlessly whilst also playing the soundtrack and acting out all the bits. And so, in amongst my newfound love for Schwarzenegger and Van Damme, I became oddly more familiar with this movie than many other from that time, and found Jennifer Grey to be one of the best things I've ever seen. Grey, incidentally, was 27 years old here, playing a 17-year-old quite convincingly. But anyway, in this movie, whilst on vacation, Jennifer Grey's Frances Baby Houseman stumbles into the world of the vacation resort's dance staff led by the charming and rebellious Johnny Castle, played by Patrick Swayze, a bad boy dance instructor with a troubled background. Now, Johnny's job is to teach the guests choreography for all of the social dances, but of course, he also participates in the less family friendly and mildly scandalous and suggestive routines at the resort's nightclub. And so, being a hormonal 17-year-old, Baby quickly becomes fascinated with Johnny and drawn into the forbidden allure of the dance floor. So, when Johnny's dance partner Penny, played by Cynthia Rhodes, becomes pregnant and has to undergo an abortion, this being set in the 60s, this is a super taboo plot point. Baby steps in to take her place for the final performance of the summer. And so, in order to do this, Baby and Johnny, of course, have to spend more time together and get up close and personal learning these dance moves. And in true cliched Strictly Come Dancing style, their chemistry ignites and a romance blossoms, despite the vast differences in their social status. So, Dirty Dancing isn't simply about dancing about and lovey-dovey romance. It actually deals with some quite adult themes, a little bit like Grease. There's an unwanted pregnancy, although the writers don't forget about it here like they do in Grease. But the film's also very much about the intersection of class. It's a theme you'll have come across many times: the rich spoilt girl falling for the rough and ready guy her parents just don't approve of. Think Great Expectations, Grease, Titanic, Aladdin, Lady and the Tramp. Here, of course, the plot uses the power of music and dance as a means of self-expression and as a bridge between those classes. But of course, also about Baby's self-discovery. And this, again, is set in an era where the teenager was still a relatively new thing and kids that age were still trying to assert some of their newfound independence. But of course, the clever thing about the film is that Swayze's Johnny is looked down upon and treated the same way by the affluent guests as Baby is by her domineering father. And this evens the playing field, I think, and brings them closer together. So, Swayze is who many people will think of when this movie is brought up, but of course, the film is really about Jennifer Grey's Baby. That sounds odd. Not her baby, her character named Baby. Anyway, Jennifer Grey's portrayal of Baby, I think, is a good balance between naive innocence and some kick-ass attitude. Over the course of the plot, she'll evolve into someone who challenges expectations, finds a voice and says, bollocks to this, I'm going dancing. Now, I don't mind sitting here and admitting that Grey dancing around in a tight leotard was a pretty formative experience for a pre-teen movie nerd like me. Patrick Swayze, already known for his role in Red Dawn in 1984, truly cemented his status here as a heartthrob and leading man with his portrayal of Johnny. I mean, he's a typical bad boy in many ways, but he's also a sensitive dude with a moral compass that conflicts him between his feelings for Baby and his status as the resort's cool outsider. Now, one of the film's strengths is the chemistry between Grey and Swayze, and it is one of the main reasons the film's probably stood the test of time. Their dance scenes, particularly that iconic lift at the end of the film, have become ingrained in pop culture. And in regards to the supporting cast, Jerry Orbach playing Baby's father, Jake, provides a good grounded contrast to the more carefree characters. He's well-meaning, of course, but often out of touch with his daughter's sense of independence and the new world that these crazy kids are growing up in. And Kelly Bishop as Baby's mother, Marjorie, likewise represents the traditional 1960s mother figure, which does serve as a reminder of the generation gap between her and her daughter. Now, another performance that needs a mention really comes from Cynthia Rhodes as Penny, Johnny's original dance partner. Now, Penny's character serves as a catalyst for much of the film's plot, particularly her unexpected pregnancy. She has a tragic backstory here in a relationship with Baby, from almost the villain role through to being a mentor and a friend, is key to Baby getting the balls, so to speak, to break away from her father's influence and become her own woman. Now, like I mentioned, there's quite a serious side to Dirty Dancing that sometimes gets left out of conversations about the movie, overshadowed by all the romancing and dancing, unplanned pregnancies, abortion, and the shame that such things brought to women at the time. Quite heavy themes for a famous chick flick. But that's not to say that it's doom and gloom. The movie is still about dancing, the act of which becomes an avenue for Baby to express herself and let out feelings she'd either had suppressed or not realised that she had. And this is the perfect point to highlight that no aspect of Dirty Dancing is more iconic than its music. The movie's soundtrack is one of the best-selling soundtracks of all time, up there with Saturday Night Fever, Purple Rain and Bodyguard, and its songs have become forever associated with this movie. Bill Medley and Jennifer Warnes' I've Had the Time of My Life is up there with some of the most recognisable tunes in modern music. Now, I don't know anything about dancing, but I'm going to say that the choreography is great here. The lift that is practiced throughout and then unleashed at a critical moment in the final act is one of the most famous images from Dirty Dancing, and if you want to say that the practicing of the lift and the ultimate display of it show the bond between Swayze and Grey developing and ultimately solidifying, you can. But when the music kicks in, you won't worry about all that, you'll just be having too much fun. So yeah, despite its reputation as such, Dirty Dancing is much more than just a romance movie or a movie for girls. If you're watching this review and you've made it this far, hopefully you'll also appreciate that this is a film about growing up, about finding out more about who you are and who you'd like to be, and how dancing is an expression of this. It kind of defies a genre label by being a drama, a romance, and a kind of musical in a way. But it's obviously done this so well that it speaks to audiences just across the world and across generations. Dirty Dancing is, of course, up there with some of the most popular and timeless movies. One of those films that even if you've not seen it, you know all about it and its music. Now, for a 1980s movie set in the 1960s, it's got quite a timeless appeal. Whichever genre that you'd like to label it with, it remains a pretty quintessential film, and its legacy continues to bring viewers back or bring in new fans, all more than ready to have the time of their lives. Couldn't help it. Go check it out.